Hi, I'm Sharon McCulloch of Strong Point Strategy. Strong Point is a business building, business transformation advisory services company. We help other leaders and teams and other companies advance and grow their own businesses. And we have a leadership series called 25 Rules Needed to Lead. And today I'm here with Cassandra Toby of the Prosperity Center, and we're talking about rule number 17, which is wear your moral compass on your sleeve. But before we get to that, I'd like to hear from Cassandra. Maybe you could tell us about yourself.
Hi. Prosperity Center is a small organization that will be launching an entrepreneurial online school on January of 2022. And the school's purpose will be to help to entrepreneurs or those thinking about starting a business to formulate their ideas, to develop a feasibility plan, and then to build a business plan from that feasibility plan and provide the coaching to help launch the business.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, thanks. So rule number 17, and wearing your moral compass on your sleeve. So tell us what that means to you. What morals do you feel like you want to wear on your sleeve, or you want people to know, or do you actually state your morals, or tell us a little bit more about that. What does that mean to you?
Well, I think that I don't come straight out and say what my morals are, but I think that the way that we do business can often demonstrate what our morals are, or we hope demonstrates what our morals are. For myself, it's about being honest. I'm extremely passionate about working with entrepreneurs and helping them to be successful. And so I hope that I kind of wear my heart on my sleeve as much as my morals.
Right.
And so they know that that passion exists, and that when we were talking about this prior to taping today, I was thinking that the doctor's motto of first do no harm was going through my head. And it's kind of my thing. It's that I want to be there to support. I want to be there to provide the tools and the encouragement necessary to help someone through the startup phase of their business as they get going. And there's such a joy for me in watching that initial phase occur.
Right. Right.
And so I hope that those morals of honesty and support and wanting
Caring,
to help and caring, and helping people really achieve their goals and their dreams,
right,
is obvious,
right,
to my clients.
Right. Yeah, I see that. I mean, I was this, your honesty and your transparency, your authenticity, just even in our conversations, I find really comforting. And, when businesses are starting out, that's so important to just be frank and upfront. But I was just listening to, your idea that, that was running through your head about first do no harm, and that struck a chord in me. And what I find is, I'm curious, what happens, or what do you do when you feel like people are starting a business, or just really any of your business relationships, that people are doing it for the wrong reasons, or maybe they're, in your value judgments, perhaps being unethical or immoral. I mean, that's one of the toughest challenges. How do you handle? Is there a graceful way that you handle that?
Oh, that's a tough one. I think ultimately you have to stick by your own moral code, and I don't believe that I could honestly support something that I thought was truly unethical and that was going to harm other people. So I would have to bow out. I mean, I would do it professionally, and I would just say that, the direction that they were choosing, that ultimately everyone has that choice to make. That's all
Right.
about free agency,
Right.
as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
And my morals dictate that everyone has their own free agency. So I would have to at least tell them they have the right to do their business however they would choose. But as far as what I believe is ethical, it's not going in a direction that I would choose to do, and therefore not something I could support, and therefore I couldn't continue to be their coach. And it's just not something I could do. because I wouldn't want my name as eventually associated with helping something like that to be successful.
Right, right. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I often find myself if I'm in the midst of a difficult transaction or a negotiation or conversation, even. Um, I've actually used psychological and clinical counselors to teach me and my strong point colleagues about the words to use. Like, this is not productive, or perhaps this isn't, a positive, supportive road we want to go down, and we would like to stop at this point. Sometimes it really does come to that. What I'm thinking is, in terms of morals. I mean, is that something you would recommend to your business leaders, to write down their morals or have a value system, or tell us about?
I come from a nonprofit background, and
Mm-hmm.
it's not uncommon for nonprofits to actually figure out what their values are as a company and post their values.
Right.
And to be able to say to the world, this is what we stand for, and this is what we intend to achieve. So it's not a far stretch from my perspective to be able to say that for any company, and to be able to say, this is who we are as a company, this is what we stand for, and this is what we intend to be known for.
Right.
And I don't
Right.
think that's a bad thing.
Right. In fact, I find that when you do that, or you think about it, and you actually try to write a value statement or a mission statement that has, or even, we have here morals, like even within teams, we decide as a team or as customers that we're going to tell each other the truth. If we find a discrepancy, like in invoices or payments, as an example, we'll bring that to the forefront. Like, even if you define some of those rules for yourself in advance, um, I'm just curious to see if any of your experiences have really tested those, your morals or your beliefs. Anything come to mind?
I don't think I've ever had anything really test my morals, um, specifically that I can think of. But I think that in any situation, you always have multiple people, and especially in a team, that come from a different background. And so you have to find that common ground that we talked about in one of your other um, roles, that you have to find that thing that can work for all of you. And sometimes you have to be able to say and stand your ground and just say, I'm not willing to do this, like you use the words productive, that this isn't going to be productive in this direction, going in
Right,
this direction, or going forward. um, with a team member, I think that you have to just say, I don't agree with this.
right,
And sometimes that can be difficult. That
right,
can be hard to move forward and be productive if one of you wants to do something that the other thinks is unethical.
right. You bring up a really good point. I mean, as the world gets smaller, you're making me think of, not just moral codes, but we're so culturally diverse, right? And we come from all faith walks, and some of our faiths or some of our life experiences are diametrically opposed to the people we're working with. I mean, I have examples where, people of Muslim faith don't necessarily believe in taking pictures, or they don't honor the same holidays or the same traditions, right? All of these things. And so I think it's important to at least know, the moral makeup of the people you're serving or your partners, so that you can have that conversation. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, I don't know if, what are the words or strategies that you could teach us that would, show how, how to interact with people you don't share the same morals.
I think it's ultimately comes down to communication, and it ultimately also comes down to people, while they may not share the same faith, or they may not share all the same morals, at least having the commonality to say we're both human beings and we both want to be successful. And if you can at least agree on those two principles, then hopefully you can find a way to work together outside of things that don't compromise each other. I was actually thinking that when you were talking and mentioning, religious beliefs in the workplace and things, at one of the nonprofits that I worked for, the CEO said a prayer at every board meeting. And, whether there were atheists in the room or whether there were people of Muslim faith or whether there were, people that were agnostic or whatever the case was, that was how he started. He had a goodwill prayer that he read and he said at every single board meeting. And you just kind of got used to that. That was the culture and that was the way that the business was run and that was what he felt was appropriate. And so I think that when you develop your own business or whether you go to work for someone else, that should be part of your decision-making process too. I think a smart person, we get taught nowadays that when you go to interview for a company and you're trying to get a job, you have the responsibility to interview that company as much as they have the responsibility to interview you.
Right.
And one of the things you should do is find out what their moral code is. What do they stand for?
Right. What do they not accept? Right.
And what do they not accept, so that you know what you're getting into.
Right.
And know if you're comfortable with those things. Are they going to be diametrically opposed to something that is part of your own moral code or your religious belief or something like that, and asking you to violate your morals, or is it something that you can be
respectful of? Right, even if you don't necessarily
completely agree.
Yeah, I think, thanks, Cassandra. You really bring up a great point, which is that, we all were raised and, have developed for ourselves and for our businesses a moral code. And I think what you're reminding us all is that if you know them or you state them or you live them, as your example, that's people can trust that and depend on that and be able to predict it, even though it's different from the way they may run their own companies or their own lives. So thanks for that. I look forward to learning more about and watching the Prosperity Center as you launch and you get customers. So thanks so much for spending time with us today. And just as a reminder, we're here with Cassandra from the Prosperity Center. We're talking about Strong Point's 25 rules needed to lead, the leadership series. We're talking about Rule 17, which is wear your moral compass on your sleeve. It's a whole set of ways of working that Strong Point uses and values in its work. If you want to learn more, please follow us or go to our website at strongpointstrategy.com. And thanks for listening.